Welcome to another great episode of Beacons of Light. On today's show, we have Jim and Carmen Board that are going to share their ministry at the Bishop Ott Shelter, how they got involved, and why it's important to serve those who truly need a helping hand up. Jim, how did it all start? What got you involved in serving a meal?
I like it. I just want to do it. I am very impressed with the kind of services the Catholic Church has towards people that are unfortunate. It's vastly different from what I would have been used to in the Protestant churches that I used to go to. They don't have institutions like this. They don't have institutions like St. Vincent de Paul. Yes, they may have a food pantry that they pass things out of, but a systematic approach to trying to help people unfortunate, not to degrade them, but just to help them as much. I can't think of anything else better to do in life.
To help, and it started as part of your RCIA process.
Well, it was part of the RCIA thing, and then when I retired, I became more involved. I started to go more times. Actually, if I hadn't gotten involved in other things outside of this, I probably would even want to do a lot more, to be truthful with you. But I have gotten involved in some other things too, so I really don't have time for much more than what we do now. And
you've been doing this for 13 years, and you kind of were inspired by what you saw Jim doing, huh, Carmen?
I saw him working and working.
And I'm not tired of it at all. To be honest with you, I view it as a privilege to have a chance to do these things. And, you know, not that it's going to get me into heaven, I don't know. But, well, I mean, that's beside the point. It's just something that I want to do that expresses me.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, in a sense, it's kind of like going dancing with my wife.
Yeah.
And it's something we both enjoy.
Yeah. Well, and you were inspired, and you're a fitness trainer, yoga, and you've gotten all kinds of people involved in preparing a meal. Talk about that.
I started because I saw him doing it, and I started helping him.
Yes.
And we had a good team, and then the manager of that team moved to Washington. And so I picked up the lead, and now I'm supposed to be the manager of this little group. So I have a group, and it's a phenomenal team that I kind of invite these ladies from where I work. I teach classes to keep people in good shape and fitness. So I invite them over, and they help me out. So we put a meal in between several people, and then we take it to the shelter. And it's a very, very rewarding thing to do. Yeah. And it's something that you don't expect anything back. So it's completely different from everything else you do. You always expect something back. Over here, you get nothing back, which is the true help when you're really helping somebody from the heart, without expecting anything back. I think that's what Jesus meant when he said, whatever you do to others, you're doing it to me.
And that's how we ultimately get to heaven. I mean, that's when we're doing things, you know, and we're being more Christ-like, that's what gets us and being creative. I mean, you mentioned that you even have a restaurant that provides the food.
Yeah, I pick up the food there, and then I take it to the place.
Yeah, yeah.
It's this last year with the pandemic, it hasn't been quite as rewarding an experience because we can't go inside. We can't
it's that
be
interaction
with the
people. That's right.
Yeah, but, you know, so we just dump it off at the door and then we leave. So it's not quite as meaningful as it once was, but That will change.
That's right, because in the coming weeks we're going to be implementing, the ability to come back and visit, because it sounds like that's something you're both hungering for, is that interaction with those we serve.
Yes.
And I'm sure the other members of your group, they're also looking forward to the day they can come back. Huh?
Yes, yes, because we actually, when the group can come inside the shelter, we actually serve the food ourselves, and we actually sit and eat with them.
Yes.
So it's really nice.
Yeah.
And it's just normal people that are there. They are just going through a difficult moment in life, and that could be me, that could be any of us. So I don't look at them as any less. I just look at them as normal humans that are just going through a hard time in life.
And it kind of builds on what you both were saying earlier, especially you, Carmen, in that we're called to serve Christ, Jesus, and when we're sitting there, it's kind of like having conversations with the good Lord, because like you said earlier, you go to give, and so you're not, what you're going to get in return is so much more than what you give, because it's that interaction, knowing you're helping, and when you're just dropping food off, that's a totally different thing, because there's no human interaction, right?
Yeah.
I always say at St. Vincent de Paul, the prophets and the people that we serve, because that's ultimately what we want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want to lift them up. We want to see them. What are some of the great things y'all serve when you come? We've had a lot of manna givers that come, and they share they've got a special recipe for this or that. So what are some of y'all more popular meals when you're bringing a meal into the shelter that they really love?
Well, everybody has kind of his own specialty. I guess there is a lady that is specialized in desserts, so she makes the most delicious desserts and cookies. Mary Adams is doing now the cookies. Carol was doing all kinds of yummy desserts. Geraldine Bordelon is specialized in the main dishes, like she cooks pork and she cooks chicken, very good. Now Jim has become quite a chef. He's been experimenting with good recipes.
I do like to cook, and I'm getting up to the point where I can. There's something about cooking for large groups of people that is interesting to me.
Yes, sir.
And so I've gotten up to the point where I can cook a large amount of food to feed them, and that's been something I've been trying to work towards.
Well, that's good. Well, and I can't think of a better use of time or energy. And those cooking shows are so popular now, where you turn on the networks on cable and you can learn how to cook just about anything. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So in doing it together as a couple, and Carmen, you shared that you were inspired by Jim and seeing what he was doing. I mean, spiritually and in your own faith life, does it help you grow spiritually, being able to serve those who are truly in need?
Absolutely. I have to say yes. I think of it like a bank account that you put a little money here and there, but instead I think of it like a spiritual account that you also need to make little deposits. I try to tell that to my kids. You got to deposit something up there too, not just in the bank over here.
Yes, indeed.
So yes, I do. I truly believe that these little things that we do help us tremendously.
Yes. Well, I can't think of a better place to invest as up in heaven.
Yeah.
When you think about it, when it comes down to it, we want to grow spiritually, and we want a large spiritual bank account.
Right. That's the one that we actually take when we go.
That's right. That's exactly right.
The other one stays here.
That's exactly right. What's up in heaven is what we're all aiming for, and without that, and for me, And I've never been blessed with the opportunity to be at the shelter when y'all, you know, with 4 shelters every night. I can't get around as much as I'd like, but you know, what I've envisioned when we've had wonderful individuals that come and serve a meal is just the spirits of the guests. So through the pandemic, without y'all, you know, being able to come in and visit, the kind of, I guess, loss that you feel, not being able to interact, not being able to say hello, not being able to visit, the guests, it's 10 times that worse, you know, because they're locked up, they don't feel, and so I can't, like I said, it's going to be a few more weeks, but we can't wait until we open those doors up, because it opens it up for you and your faith life. But also, you know, when you think about it, somebody who is coming and truly in need of a helping hand up, sometimes their self-esteem is so low, they just feel awful about themselves. And then you have someone that comes that is taking time, that's successful in their current life. They're taking time to cook a meal. You know, maybe they've never been a big chef. It sounds like you've acquired skills that you didn't have before. You're taking time to do that. You're learning how to cook, and you're doing it all for them. You know, that's a magnificent statement. It makes them feel great, and so they miss y'all too.
Yeah, I think so. I think they miss that little smile, or the little, how are you today, or, you know, little conversation, even if it's not serious conversation, but at least somebody says, how are you, you know, how are you, really?
Yeah, how are you makes a world of difference to people that, you know, because y'all are doing something so special, because you're getting out of your comfort zone and you're going. And so what would your message be to anyone that's thinking about coming to serve a meal?
Oh, don't think it twice. Don't think it twice. The reward is way, way worth it.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Just having the chance to do these kinds of things. After all, what most of religion is about relationships between people, and how you treat people and think about them and think about yourself, and you know, what you do for the least of mine, you do for me.
Right.
And there's just something about it that is something I can't help to do.
Yeah.
So I will keep doing this for as long as we can.
There you go. And that's what we're called to do. Well, Carmen, Jim, thank you so much for being on the show. They're showing loving one another. Christ called to love one another, and that's what we do at St. Vincent de Paul. When we come back, we'll visit with Betty Lowery, and she'll tell us her story of sharing God's love with those in need. For over 20 years, the St. Vincent de Paul Community Pharmacy has served our area. We provide prescription medicines for those who have nowhere to turn for this most basic healthcare need. Please, if you need your medicine, or you know a family member that needs their medicine, contact us. Kay, how can they get in touch?
383-7450.
Give us a call today and spread the word so that we can ensure no one goes without their prescription medication.
My Bicycle Journey, a book that tells a story. It educates, it promotes, and it also provides some leadership. Take the time to purchase this book, and St. Vincent de Paul benefits from all of the proceeds of this book. Please, if you would, give St. Vincent de Paul a call and let me know what you think of My Bicycle Journey.
Welcome back. St. Vincent de Paul is blessed with so many community leaders, people that give of their time and talent to serve God's poor in a remarkable way. Joining me is Betty Lowery, who is here to kind of share her experiences at St. Vincent de Paul. And What group are you with, Betty?
Well, I'm with a beautiful group of women from St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church, and we're all members of the Knights of Peter Claver Ladies Auxiliary. And the group has been serving the men's shelter for over 50 years. And I think I joined maybe about 10 years ago, and it's an awesome journey for me. The ladies, they are so energetic, and they're so happy to prepare the foods and make sure that, you know, the men are getting a nourished meal, food that we would serve our own families, because in a way they are our families. And I've just enjoyed working with Miss Williams, Veronica Williams, Rachel Kolar, Janice Harris, Cecilia Bazile, Estelle Banks, and the lady that of our group that approached me 10 years ago was Miss Daringsburg.
Miss Hazel.
Hazel Daringsburg.
Yeah,
yes.
I love Miss Hazel.
Yeah.
I miss Miss Hazel.
I know, yeah. She was an awesome lady. Sweet.
Yeah, just as sweet as sweet can be. And you know, the St. Francis Xavier faith community, just a lot of wonderful people.
Yes.
Just embody what Christ calls us to do, to reach out, and that's what you do when you bring a meal to the shelter, isn't it?
Yes. And we're happy to do it. We enjoy preparing the foods, and we get together on the phone prior to and said, okay, what are we going to fix this week? And we bring it with all our love and all our hearts.
I think that's the key ingredient is love, and just you know, we're called to see the face of Christ in those we serve.
Yes.
And I know you and your group, you see that when you bring this to our shelter guests, don't you?
Oh, sure we do. And we enjoy just, you know, meeting the young men that are there and hearing their stories, and, you know, just it's awesome that, you know, we are able to do something as little as prepare a food that means so much. And they're forever thanking us, you know, about it and asking us, how did you cook this and how did you cook that? And it's just a joy to be there and put a smile on their face.
You know, sometimes it's just when you ask somebody how they're doing. You know, I've noticed with whether it be the family shelter or the men's shelter, if you say, how are you doing today? You look, it's almost like a shot in the arm. It's saying that they matter. Do you see that when you interact with them? It's almost like you're feeding the soul too.
Right, yeah, and they look like they feel like they're just waiting for somebody to give them a reason to talk. Yes. And they just open up and, you know, tell you their story, and it's just, you know, amazing to be able to just have them share with us and we share with them. So it's just an awesome journey.
It kind of brings us the gospel to life, you know, Matthew 25, for I was hungry, you gave me food. Has that been part of your spiritual journey when you literally bring someone food, you're doing it for Christ?
That's true, and I think about it all the time, you know, just it's a meal, but it's helping someone to overcome some adversity in their lives, and just you're doing something for them, you're doing something for God. And
that, I mean, for us, I mean, in the earlier segment we talked about with the Miss Lowery with the boards, we were talking about, you know, a faith life that's full, that we're kind of making deposits in heaven, so to speak. But in a real true sense, when we grow spiritually, we're enriching our lives. We enriching our lives in a priceless way, don't we?
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yes.
And when you go together as a group and you're able to serve the meal, I know during the pandemic it's drop off right now only, and I know you're looking forward to getting back to being able to bring the meals. But when you go with the ladies to actually serve the meals, how has their commitment to the program these many decades and their own personal commitment strengthened your faith life?
Oh, it has. You know, if one of us is not able to prepare the meal, you know, like I said, we discussed the meal before. If one of us is not able to prepare the meal, we all pitch in and make sure, you know, that their portion of the meal is, you know, presented. So it's just like we're all one.
Yes.
You know, we're on the same path.
Yes.
So, you know, it makes us all stronger as a group to know that we're doing something great for the community, we're doing something for people in need, and we're also, you know, doing what God wants us to do.
And it's important. Now, through the years, I know for myself, there's so many men, women, children that I've met through the course of my time, and you know, certainly you can speak in generalities, but is there any story you recall, a specific case where you saw and, you know, it called out to you, or is it just more in general, just the numbers of people you're able to reach with God's love?
Just in general, the number of people that we're able to, you know, serve and be of help. And sometimes, you know, maybe we can give a word of encouragement to somebody who feels like, you know, I'm here and I'm at rock bottom and, you know, I don't feel like I can go forward. Am I stuck here? And just ministering to them and telling them, you know, there's always hope. There's always a way. And you're here in a good place because St. Vincent de Paul helps everyone, you know.
Right.
Just, you know, just help everyone that's in need. And there are so many different programs that St. Vincent de Paul has to offer that, you know, help with their education. If they have medical needs, help with that. So all you have to do is just, you know, ask.
Hope, faith, and love, all important elements of everything, huh?
Yes, it is, yes. So it's been a joy.
In a lot of ways, do you feel like when you bring that meal, you kind of keeping hope alive? And
oh, of course, yeah. Just, you know, if it's that meal, it may be something else. Just, you know, somebody is looking out for us, and somebody is trying to help us, you know, move forward to the next phase of our lives. So it's just awesome.
Well, you know, we're as good Catholics, we go to Mass every Sunday, and when we're in the pews, so to speak, we're hearing the gospel. And in a real sense, for those who haven't gotten out of their comfort zone, like you have, and the wonderful ladies there at St. Francis Xavier, what would your message be to people that are thinking, you know, that might be a nice thing to do, but I'm not ready to take that step? How would you encourage them to take that step, and how is it going to impact their faith life?
Well, just, you know, think about you're doing something for someone who is in need, and that God is, you know, looking down on you and, you know, appreciating what you're doing. And that step may help you to venture out and do something else. You know, there are all kinds of callings out there, and you just have to step out on faith. And because I never thought that I would be able to, you know, do it. I'm still working, and sometimes it gets a little challenging to get that meal prepared for that certain time. But I said, okay, I know God is, He's watching. He's going to help me get through this and make sure everything is okay. So, you know, building faith, hey, that's all we have is faith. So you step out there on faith, and it takes you wherever you need to go.
No doubt. Because I always say, if you have God in your life, that's all you need. I mean, if you don't have God in your life, that's almost mission impossible. There is no hope if you have no God.
That's true. And I mean, if you put your faith in God, you can do anything. You can do anything.
Yeah, and I think that's why the ladies, and I love Miss Hazel. I miss her so much. Oh, she was so dedicated.
Yes,
you know, and there's so many members of St. Francis Xavier, so dedicated to the community, not only the faith community, but the broader community.
Right.
And it's so, I think, what I think we're all called to do is to kind of put our Catholicism out front and say, hey, this is what we're doing, and we're doing the best we can to keep hope alive in our local community.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Yes.
Yeah, and the auxiliary, the Knights of St. Peter Claver, they do so many other things too, right?
Oh yes, we have. We help out, especially during the hurricane seasons, and people have lost their homes and all. There's a foundation that helps to help them to rebuild their homes and get back on their feet again. We have scholarships, several different scholarships that are awarded during the year for college students to help them get to college, and it's just basically helping the young people.
Yes, ma'am.
In our communities. So.
All important things, all focused on helping to make the community a better place in God's image, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
So.
Well, the one blessing I've had in my life is to meet so many wonderful people like you, Betty, and the ladies. Please express to them our deep appreciation for what they're doing, and thank you for your many decades commitment to serving God's poor. What would your message be to, again, for those who might want to get involved? Should they get involved with St. Vincent de Paul?
Oh, of course. St. Vincent de Paul has so many opportunities out there for people to get involved so that they can give back to the community, share their talents, share their expertise, share their love. So I would encourage anyone to join St. Vincent de Paul and just, be a beacon of light.
There you go, and I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for being a beacon of light.
Well, thank you.
Thank the auxiliary and all the wonderful ladies there at St. Francis Xavier for all they're doing for our community.
Thank you.
Express our love to them.
I sure will.
And like Betty said, be a beacon of light. Get involved with St. Vincent de Paul at svdpbr.org and make a difference in our local community. We'll see you again next week on Beacons of Light.